It's Mr. E here, and our aim for this video is how do we multiply and divide radical expressions. Okay, so first we got to go over two properties. We got to go over the multiplication property and the division property. So let's start with the multiplication property first. The multiplication property says that the nth root of A times the nth root of B is equal to the nth root of A times B. So that's the multiplication rule. So for example, say you got 3 radical 2 times 4 radical 3. All you have to do is multiply the coefficients and the radicands. So 3 times 4 is 12, so you get 12 outside of the radical, and then radical 2 times radical 3 is radical 6. So essentially the multiplication rule is just saying multiply the coefficients and multiply the radicands. All right. Okay, the division rule. The division rule says that the nth root of A divided by the nth root of B is equal to the nth root of A over B. So for example, radical 30 over radical 15 can be rewritten as radical 30 over 15, which is just equal to radical 2. So those are the two properties that you have to know, and we're going to be using them today in this video. So example 1, multiply the binomials. So we are multiplying here a pair of binomials, and we're going to have to perform FOIL. So if you recall, FOIL is first, so that's going to be -4 times 3. Outer, so that's -4 times 2 radical 2. So we got the first, the outer, the inner, and the last here. So we just did the first and the outer. So now the inner, that's -3 radical 8 times 3. And -3 radical 8 times 2 radical 2. That's the last. So when you multiply all this out, this is what we get. So if you're multiplying binomials that involve radicals, you're going to perform FOIL. Okay, now you're going to reduce the radicals. So we got -12 minus 8 radical 2. This cannot be reduced. It's already reduced. But radical 8 we can reduce. We can rewrite that as radical 4 times radical 2. And radical 16 is just 4. So you reduce the radicals that you can reduce. So what do we get? We get -12 minus 8 radical 2 minus 9 times 2, because radical 4 is 2, minus 6 times 4. So I just brought this down over here, the -6 times the 4. So now we just multiply, and we get this. -9 times 2 gives us -18, and -6 times 4 gives us -24. Finally, we just combine the like terms. So -12 minus 24, we get -36, and -8 radical 2 minus 18 radical 2 is -26 radical 2. Remember, when you combine the like terms, you leave the radicand alone. you just combine coefficients. Only coefficients you combine. Believe it or not, that says coefficients there. It says only coefficients. Okay, our next and last example involves division of radical expressions. So it says express in simplest radical form with a rational denominator. So first, we know that the two radicals here can be divided into a new radical. So we're using that division rule we looked at in the beginning of the video. Okay, so now that can be divided into a new radical and we get this. So 32 divided by 4 is 8. X to the 14th divided by x to the 4th is x to the 10th. Remember when you are dividing exponential expressions with the same base. Whoops, that's supposed to be a 4, excuse me. When you're dividing exponential expressions with the same base, you subtract the exponents. So you get x to the 10th. And here you get y to the 5th. Okay, so now we have to factor out the perfect square and the highest even power. So I mean, essentially, here's what we're doing. You know, we are simplifying radical 8, we're simplifying x to the 10, and we are simplifying y to the 5th. So radical 8 could be rewritten as radical 4 times radical 2. Right? X to the 10, excuse me, radical x to the 10, it's already an even number, so we don't have to worry about factoring anything out. So that's just x to the 10 over 2. Radical y to the 5th, here we have to factor out the highest even power, and that would be 4. So we get radical y to the 4th times radical y. So now we just simplify. So radical 4 is 2, so we get 2 radical 2 here. We get x to the 5th here. Radical y to the 4th is, remember this is just y to the 4 over 2, which is y squared, and then that's radical y. So finally, write everything under a radical as a single radical. Leave everything else outside. So we get this. So this 2 is under a radical and this y is under a radical. So we put it together as a single radical. And everything, whoops, sorry about that. And everything that's outside of the radical, this 2, this x to the 5th, this y squared, we leave outside of the radical. That's our final answer. Okay, I hope this video helps. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Look forward to working more with you tomorrow on this stuff. Have a great night. Take care.